Okay, come on.
Oh shit!
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Eric Mulder here with Cobra Conversations. Thanks for joining me. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing the recently released dash cam and body cam footage of the murder of Officer Darian Jarrott. Before we get started, if you appreciate videos that helps you understand the police use of force and breaks down police-related content, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my future content. We're going to jump right in by reading some of the details. And as always, as the video proceeds, I'll comment when necessary. Luna County, New Mexico. On February 4th, 2021, New Mexico State Police Officer Darian Jarrett initiated a traffic stop on a white Chevy pickup on Interstate 10 eastbound near mile marker 102 east of Deming, New Mexico. During the traffic stop, Officer Jarrett asked the driver, identified as Omar Felix Cueva, 39, of Deming, to exit the vehicle. We'll stop right there with the details. We'll jump right into the video. And then once the video is done, we'll come back and we'll read some of the other details that you didn't see, that you don't get a chance to see in the video.
Afternoon, sir. My name is Darian Jarrett. I'm with New Mexico State Police. The reason for the stop is your window tint's a little too dark.
I've seen in various comment threads people asking the question, why is stopping someone for their window being too dark, the window tint being too dark, why is that even legal? Or what sense does that make? If you're driving late at night and you have extremely dark tinted windows, it can be a hindrance to your visibility while you're driving. And it can make you a danger to other people around. And then there's also the issue of when a police officer needs to make contact with you. I've seen countless videos where officers were unable to see what exactly was going on inside the vehicle while conducting their car stop, and it didn't end well. And one thing I want to point out was that his approach was a good one. When he approached the vehicle, let me back up slightly here. He didn't just walk up haphazardly, approaching the vehicle. He was aware of the potential danger. You can just tell by his body language. Just watch. He knocks on the window and he backs up. So he wasn't being careless.
Afternoon, sir. My name is Darian Jarrett. I'm with New Mexico State Police. The reason for the stop is your window tint's a little too dark. Yeah. Do you mind if I open the door? Or if you want to roll down the window more. Yeah. I know you got dim tags. You got a registration for the vehicle? Yes, sir. I'll need registration and driver's license as well. Right. Okay. All right.
If his body camera is any indication, his positioning was good. He wasn't standing directly in front of the door. He seemed to maintain his situational awareness. His officer safety seemed to be spot on.
All right. Do you have insurance for the vehicle? Yeah. Where is it? It's your wallet. If you're come with me to my vehicle, that way I can run your name and date of birth, and then that way I can get my return. Okay. Good. Shut the vehicle off. If you want, it's up to you. Well, I know. That'll work. Grab the phone and come with me to my vehicle so I can get the return, and then I can make sure that everything's good. Okay. What was your name?
Omar Cueva.
Omar Cueva?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cueva. Okay.
It's a bit difficult to hear the driver because of the the wind.
Well, she's sending the pic. Let's go so that I can run my checks on you.
Now, I'll say this much was the fact that it took him 3 times. He asked the driver 3 times to come out of the vehicle so he can go back and run his check on him, and he still wasn't complying. That's somewhat of a red flag. Not necessarily anything major, but it could demonstrate a mindset of being uncooperative, or it could demonstrate the fact that the driver has something to hide. Because he's still non-compliant. 3rd time.
Yeah, so I can run my checks and talk to you a little bit while I'm running my checks, and then you'll show me the picture right away. I got paperwork I gotta do. You know? Hey, real quick. You have fire? Yeah. No, I see it. Please, do me a favor. You mind if I take it off you for my safety? All right, hold on. All right, let's go to my vehicle, okay? Come on.
Now, Officer Jarrett asked the driver if he was in possession of a gun, and he said yes. He didn't freak out, didn't panic. I've had people in the past ask, after a tragic shooting or after an officer-involved shooting or a suspect shooting, people have a tendency to assume that the demeanor of the bad guy will always be elevated, will always be clear danger signals, but that's not always the case. As a matter of fact, I'll link a video right above of an incident that took place a few years ago that I did a reaction to, where the suspect driver was calm and cool the entire time until he decided to shoot at the 2 officers. My man, officer didn't have a chance, honestly. He must have had the gun hidden maybe somewhere on the side, out of sight, maybe under the seat, maybe had a collapsible stock. I don't know, but it was somewhere out of sight where the officer couldn't see it from the passenger side. And that's really tragic. Let me back up real quick. There was a vehicle drove by, a police vehicle drove by. Police vehicle drove by. Now, when I was on patrol, I tried to make it a consistent habit that when I drove by another officer's vehicle, whether he was a Las Vegas Metro officer, I tried to consistently make sure that I at least saw what the officer was doing. Now, I don't know if their windows are tinted or whatever the case may be, but I did what I could to try to see if I could see the officer and see if he's okay. Now, I don't know. I don't think he saw the officer laying on the side of the road, because he probably would have slammed on his brakes and backed up. But and who knows, maybe he did see something that was a little odd and turned around and came back. But it seems like he just drives down the road. I don't really remember if this was something that I was taught, maybe in field training, or just another officer did, but it just seemed like a wise decision to make either way. Now, these guys right here were a part of the Homeland Security investigation team. if what I heard was correct. And they found out what had happened. I'm not sure what the time lapse was here. It could have been possible that that Officer Jarrett failed to respond on his radio, and so a team came out to check and see how he was doing. But this is just terrible. Now I'm going to read some of the details of some of the events that I mentioned earlier, some of the interactions that this suspect had with the various agencies that attempted to stop him. I'll start right here. As Cueva ran toward the front of the truck from the passenger side, he shot Officer Jarrett point blank in the back of the head. A Homeland Security investigation agent arrived on the scene, as I mentioned earlier, and notified New Mexico State Police Dispatch that an officer was down. A broadcast was put out to state and local law enforcement agencies. New Mexico State Police officers Lionel Palomares and Sonny Montez located Cueva traveling east on Interstate 10 near mile marker 116. Cueva pulled over and fired at officers, Palomares and Montez. The officers returned fire at Cueva, who continued to evade officers traveling east on Interstate 10. So the initial interaction after he shot Officer Jarrett took place on mile marker, somewhere around mile marker 116. As Cueva fled eastbound on Interstate 10, law enforcement officers from the Las Cruces Police Department, LCPD, the Donna Ana County Sheriff's Office, DASO, and the U.S. Border Patrol assisted New Mexico State Police with the pursuit. Near the Picacho exit on Interstate 10, near mile marker 135, so he traveled a good distance already. New Mexico State police officers successfully utilized tire deflation devices on Cueva's pickup. As far as I know, they're known as stop sticks. At least that's what we had here in Vegas. Cueva continued to flee east on Interstate 10. Various law enforcement officers engaged Cueva in gunfire as he fled. Deputy Jared Houston fired rounds from his department-issued rifle near the mile marker 136. Deputy John Senior fired at Cueva near mile marker 138 eastbound. Near mile marker 139, Border Patrol agent Oscar Delgado fired one round at Cueva as he passed. Officer Adrian De La Garza then utilized a pursuit intervention technique maneuver near mile marker 140, or what is commonly known as the pit maneuver. Now, here's a takedown that took place miles down the road after an extended chase, multiple contacts, and exchanges of fire between the suspect and the officers. And here's the final takedown.
There he goes! Fuck yeah! Watch out! Hey, get the fuck back! You straight shot at that car?
Man, that's just wild. But he got his in the end. No question about that. And that's something I noticed in the video, was that prior to it coming to a full stop, dude was already getting out of that vehicle, ready to engage the officer. I want all the cops out there to think about it for a second. Are you, in your current state of physical, mental, and tactical preparedness, are you ready to face a threat who has that mindset, who is that dedicated to stopping you, to killing you? There are people out there with that mentality, as we clearly saw in this video. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to meet that potential tactical threat? And if not, what are the avenues by which you can go about preparing yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, tactically? There are many ways, I'm sure, if you are on a police agency, even if it's small, there are so many things that you can do to learn, the books you can read. There are videos, there are free videos that are online to help you develop and improve your skills. With information being so freely and readily available, there really is no excuse. Prior to the pickup coming to a stop, Cueva exited the pickup armed with a firearm and shot multiple rounds towards the officers and deputies. Officer Adrian De La Garza and deputies Diego Herrera and Obed Marta returned fire towards Cueva, who was struck several times by gunfire. Officer De La Garza was struck by gunfire and was airlifted to a trauma hospital in Texas, where he was treated and released for non-life-threatening injuries. Thank the Lord. Officers rendered aid to Cueva until emergency medical personnel arrived on scene. Now, the same dude that just tried to kill them, officers rendered aid to. Stuff like this needs to get out more. I really wish more citizens would see the job, the fullness of being a police officer, being a sheriff, and all the things that are involved. You have to go from being law enforcement officer to being lifesaver in the blink of an eye. Cueva received fatal injuries and was pronounced deceased on the scene by the Office of Medical Investigator. This investigation is active and being led by the New Mexico State Police Investigations Bureau. Officer Darian Jarrott began his career as a transportation inspector with NMDPS. He was certified as a law enforcement officer in December 2014 and worked with the former Motor Transportation Division of NMDPS. In July of 2015, he was sworn in as a New Mexico State police officer, where he bravely served until the day of the shooting. Officer Jarrett leaves behind 3 small children and was expecting his 4th child this year. So sad. Officer Darian Jarrett was laid to rest on Friday, February 12th, 2021, at Shakespeare Cemetery in Lordsburg during a private burial. So typically when I watch and I make videos like this, I try to find the possible tactical errors or maybe miscues committed by the officers. But this one's difficult because, one, they approached from the passenger side, which is typical of highway patrol, because you're dealing with highway traffic and it's way more dangerous than an officer who conducts a traffic stop on a surface street. Not saying that it isn't dangerous, but when cars are averaging 60, 70 miles an hour, it can definitely be more dangerous. He approached tactically. He was professional. He was courteous. And if you're dealing with a suspect with that mindset, who knows if he had a hidden compartment in his vehicle and the officer just didn't see it. But if I missed anything, if you guys saw something or there were areas of concern from your perspective, please comment down below because I could share them maybe down the road or maybe even offer a little bit of pushback. But I'm hoping that people are reminded from this video the very dangers that officers face that are hidden under the surface and that are potentially there in every encounter that they make. And in a climate like we're in now, where there's such an anti-police officer push and rage against the police, I truly wish more people would understand the threats that they face and would appreciate them more. But those are just my thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think. So comment down below. In the meantime, stay safe, God bless, and make sure you join the conversation.